As of the latest data, it's estimated that about 1 in every 54 children in the US is diagnosed with autism. For younger children, age groups infant through 5, the statistic would roughly translate to approximately 1.85% of children in this age range being diagnosed with autism. Now, of course, you have to keep in mind that the rates can change and be a little bit different in different regions, but or change over time. But mostly, that is right now statistically what those numbers are at. And today, I wanted to really bring on a special guest who has such a great message. And our podcast today is Creating Brighter Futures, Supporting Children with Autism in Early Childhood Settings. So I would love to welcome, and I hope I don't say your name wrong, Shannon Estin?
Estrin.
Estrin.
Yes, ma'am. Estrin.
Yes, sir. So tell folks a little bit about yourself. I met you at the Born to Teach conference, and I just thought you were so inspiring and such a great, wonderful person in your own right. But tell
Thank you.
people about yourself because,
Yes, ma'am. So,
yeah.
my name is Shannon. I'm born and raised in California. I moved to Atlanta 2 years ago. Um, well, backtrack. So, I'm born and raised in California. I got my undergrad degree in special education. I got my master's degree in inclusion. I am a children's book author. I have a coloring and activity book for kids and adults. I am the oldest of five. Yeah, five. I come from a blended biracial family. I'm Black, Jewish, Russian, Polish, and Canadian. Um, I moved to Atlanta 2 years ago just to kind of, business wise, I want to kind of thrive a little more and kind of get out of my community and see what else I can do in the world. So I decided to move to Atlanta. I work at a mental health hospital for adolescents. I'm a special ed teacher here at a psychiatric mental health hospital here for kids ages 7 through 17. And I work with kids that have behavioral trauma, sexual trauma, mental health trauma, and kids that are highly aggressive that can't function in a regular school setting.
Wow. I mean, what do you do in your spare time?
Besides sleep, I spend time with family. I have a partner, so me and my girlfriend, we spend a lot of time together. We travel. Um, And then I mean, yeah, outside like and I work out. I love working out. I go hiking a lot. I like nature.
Awesome. Awesome. So you're pretty accomplished for sure.
Yes,
Um,
ma'am.
Yeah, so can you start by sharing your journey of like what inspired you to
Hmm.
specialize in working with children who have either in special education, autism, but
Hmm.
your experience reaches beyond that. So
Yes.
you can we can certainly stay in that lane, or we can talk about all of your experiences. But
Okay.
really, just share your journey. What inspired you to take
Yeah.
that path?
So as a kid, well, no, let me backtrack. So I was born a preemie. I was 1 pound 8 ounces. I was fully blind with a 10% chance of living. And the doctor told my mom and dad if I was to live by the age of 5, that I would be physically and mentally disabled. And after seeing different documentaries that they had, reading different articles, I realized that I'm blessed to be here, and God gave me a second chance at life to show other kids and other individuals that they don't have a disability, they have a superpower and a gift. It just takes a special, patient person to bring that gift out of you. A lot of parents that I've come across throughout the years have a hard time accepting that their child might have some form of special need or diagnosis. I don't look at it as a inability. I don't believe in labels. I feel like it's a superpower. That child has a special characteristic about them that makes them different. I personally believe, my personal opinion, I feel like, um, I not feel like, but I know I have a learning inability. For one, I was born at 6 months instead of 9. So I feel like my brain wasn't fully developed after those 3 months, because I had a lot of birth effects. But I feel like I never used that to hinder me. I would always use that to kind of uplift me and allow me to work a little harder. So whenever I was in a classroom working with a peer or something and I didn't understand it, I would have to take the time to reread it a few times, go a little slower, ask more questions. And I was able to work with children. I've been working with children since high school, but my freshman year in college, I worked at a childcare center. I was playing college football, and I had a scholarship to play football, and I was on a work study. And a work study, I was able to get paid while playing football, but I had to go check in the childcare center and work for like 4 to 5 hours a week, um, with the kids, and that was my first time actually working with kids, at a toddler level. As I got older, I've been working with elementary, middle school, and high school kids for like the last 10 years. And that was able to kind of open my eyes because I was able to see different behaviors, see different types of diagnosis, not just kids with autism, but kids that have schizophrenia, bipolar disorder, work with nonverbal kids. I really experienced that in 2017 was my first time working with kids on the autism spectrum 1, 2, and 3 that are nonverbal, and that was my first time being around anyone, specifically a child that was nonverbal. So I learned a lot on body language, and I learned a lot on how to communicate without actually verbalizing stuff. Your body language, your facial expressions, a lot of visuals. So yeah, I'm definitely excited. That's a little bit about my journey and my passion and why I feel like. Um, I was put here for a reason. And one more thing I did not state, which is big to me. So I feel like I know I have a God-given number. So I was born on 4/2 at 6:42 in room 2442. And 4/2 is also Autism Awareness Day. So I feel like God placed me here for a reason because I wouldn't be in this field if I didn't have that second chance at life. And I know that this is my purpose and my passion and why I'm here.
Oh man, you said so many things. First of all, I really want to cry, because as no, for real, no, for real. As an educator, um, what everything you just said to me speaks to my heart so much. Like
Mhm.
literally, I want to cry right now.
It's okay. Get it
It
out. It's
speaks to
okay.
my it speaks to my heart. The first
Yes,
thing
ma'am.
I want to say is, you're not lucky to be here. We're lucky that you were here.
Mhm.
We are
Mhm.
lucky that you were here.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, you were placed here for a reason, but we are the lucky ones. That I want to say that. The other thing is, I feel like I want to applaud you for so many reasons because, as though you said, you didn't let that hinder you, and
Hmm.
almost you were defiant of it. Like, no, that is not going to define me.
Right.
And when you talk about like your accomplishments, how old are you, sir?
I'm 29 and I don't have any
29.
kids. Yeah, 29, no kids. I'm not married yet. So,
You're 29. You've accomplished more than me. I mean, honestly, I'm 54. So you should be really, really, really proud of yourself.
yes, ma'am.
I am proud. I'm proud for you. And as
Thank you very
somebody who,
much.
yes, you're welcome. As somebody who works with kids, and most people that listen to our show, they're either childcare owners or directors.
Hmm.
This is why you don't give up on kids right here. This is the
Yeah.
kid that most people would have given up on and said, "Oh, nope,
Hmm.
this ain't the right fit. You need a smaller setting.
Hmm.
Yada
Hmm.
yada yada." All the excuses that you make, put in the work because when you do, you get people like this right here,
Yes,
and
ma'am.
they can do great things. They can do great, great things. I love your story. As soon as I met you, I knew that you were special.
Thank
Um,
you.
yeah.
Yeah,
So yes.
I was definitely excited to walk to your table because I've seen Mr. J. Me and him are real close, and he was like, "Man, I have to go." And I've been talking to the individuals that have a child care podcast, and I looked over. I was like, "Oh, that's them." And he was like, "Yeah." I believe he said he's met you all before, and he was like, I just want to go over and talk to him again." And I didn't want to interrupt, but then I saw you, and I was like, "No, we kind of got to talking a little bit." I just love you and your son's energy and your spirit. Like it was amazing.
Thank you. Thank you. That feeling was definitely very reciprocal. The other thing I love the work that you do with children who have severe trauma.
Hmm.
So you met my son-in-law. My son is adopted. My son Ricky, who's 22 now.
Okay.
Um, and we also have some foster children in our home who
Okay.
also have faced trauma. So as a
Hmm.
parent, not only as an educator, but as a parent, um, it's so important to have people who care about children who have had these real issues as
Yeah.
young kids.
Yeah.
And
Like
so to
you
see,
would think
yeah,
you would think these kids, these babies are grown adults, but they've lived a tough life and they've had a lot of things happen at 6, at 12. And I'm like, damn, I can't complain because you're
yeah,
going through some stuff that I wouldn't even imagine. And yeah.
yeah. So let's talk about what are some of the misconceptions about autism that you believe childcare directors and teaching staff should be aware of.
Um, I would say misconception is not the norm. Like now, people think no one thinks that they can't do anything. A lot of kids that have autism can do a lot. I would say the misconception is, and this is hard because it depends on their level of autism. That we have to baby them, that we have to be gentle with them. We have to be not it's like yeah, you be gentle, but certain kids I'm going to treat them like I treat everybody else. So if I'm talking to a young man or young lady and I have to have a little tough love or meet them where they're at, I'm going to meet this same child with autism and meet him right where he's at. I have kids
Hmm.
all day that cuss me out, physically put their hands on me, and I have to have a safe face and not react. I'm gonna do the same thing to any other child. If I have a child coming at me as aggressive as cursing and calling me outside my name, I'm gonna just wait and be quiet and have a conversation with them. I don't curse at kids. I will cuss, not because I will say words to meet them where they're at so they understand me sometimes. If I have a high schooler and he says damn or shit and I give him a response and I say the same thing, I'm simply saying it so I can explain it to him. He might have autism. I'm not going to baby you. I'm not going to treat you any type of way because you have a certain diagnosis. I'm going to treat you like a young man that you are. I might be a little slower. It might take a little time for you to process that, but I'm not going to treat you any different than anyone else
Yeah, and I
because
think
then
that yeah.
I'm putting you in a box and I'm labeling you, and I don't want to do that.
Yeah, I think that's important too because you don't want to not set the standard of what the
Hmm.
expectations are in
Hmm.
real in society, right? You
Yeah,
can't go around swearing anywhere in society. It's not acceptable, right?
yeah,
So
because
setting the same, setting a
exactly.
standard for them, yeah.
Yeah.
Because when you
When they get
do,
in the real world, if you curse at your boss or you put your hands on somebody, you spit on someone, or you get aggressive, or you have an outburst of anger because you didn't get what you wanted, and you do that in the real world, unfortunately, you have two things: you're dead or in jail. Because no one in the world is going to know that you have a disability. No one in the world is going to know. You're not going to have it on your forehead. Hey, I have autism. Be nice to me. Other people aren't kind as we are. Other people don't have soft hearts like we. They don't care. So I'm trying to help you and support you to get the standard and the expectation now and show you what goals you need to do now. So when it is time for you to transition and be on your own, that you can do it safely and productively
yeah.
as a proper citizen.
Yeah, setting kids up for success.
Mm-hmm.
Setting them up for success for sure.
Exactly.
So not everybody has the level of expertise or personal experiences that you do. So
Yes, ma'am.
can you share some specific strategies that educators can use to support children in their daily routines or interactions? Now, most of the folks who listen to the show are going to be working with children, I would say 6 weeks to 12 years old.
Right. I would say a schedule. Visual schedules and routine are big. That's for all kids. Like a lot of people, are, oh, well, you only work with kids with autism. Everything I've used every technique and strategy I've used with adults. I've used with middle school kids. I've used on my partner. Like there's certain strategies that you can use with kids that you can use with your partner. There's certain for one you have visuals. Visuals are very good. Building a rapport and knowing your child's learning style is big. I have in my coloring book, I have 5 pages of each learning style, a visual description and a definition. A lot of teachers, a lot of adults, a lot of parents and educators do not know their own learning style. I'm huge on knowing your child's learning style. Not every child can sit here and listen to us talk for 40 minutes to an hour. They're not going to comprehend it. Some people are auditory. Some people need to record. Some people need a recorder. Some people have to be visual, hands-on. I'm a hands-on learner. Over time, I've learned that I know how to combine them all into one. But not everyone is going to be able to do that. Some people have to be hands-on. Some people have to walk around and pace the classroom. So instead of setting a standard of every child needs to sit in their seat, no, learn what your child likes to do. Maybe your child learns more when he or she moves around in the classroom. Maybe you have to change the environment up. You can't teach any child, you can't work with any child from a toddler to 12 years old at all if you don't know who they are and learn their likes or dislikes. Even as a baby, you have to coddle them, you have to be soft, you have to nurture them, you have to be loving. They're gonna cry. That's what you signed up for. If they're a baby, they're going to cry. It's gonna
Yeah.
happen. You can't stop it from crying. You have to find soothing mechanisms and things that help them calm down. Some people like light. Some people like, little things you rattle. Like there's ways to go about them, about to get to calm down. Crying to me is just them not being able to vocalize. Even when babies
Yeah.
cry, it's like they're trying to say something to you, but they can't because they're literally a toddler, so they're going to cry. So I'm big on routine, patience, and understanding. And when it comes to colleagues, being able to take constructive criticism and don't take it to heart. But also being able to check your colleague or check someone if they're doing something improperly or inappropriate. And knowing when the proper time to, I don't say check, but knowing when the proper time to reiterate something or redirect that staff. And sometimes some people just don't know.
Yeah, so that's all great advice. Is there any particular trainings that are out there nationally, or anything particular that you think that in terms of trainings or workshops or resources that teachers should be using or could use, or that you have
Yeah,
seen in your experience?
there's actually, it's a Georgia State, but they have it locally. They have a Georgia State trauma training. They have a Georgia State behavior training. They have different trainings for free. You can look online and Google, just type with like, let's say you're looking for um, trainings for toddlers to deal with toddlers when it comes to biting or something like that. There's trainings for everything. There's other programs out here that have done studies that offer free trainings. You just have to sign up. And there's experts like myself that go out and travel to child care centers and travel to these schools, and they teach workshops. I can teach a workshop pretty much on a lot of things because the type of behaviors I've dealt with. I've dealt with every type of behavior you can think of. I haven't dealt with toddlers as much, but I've dealt with kids from 5 years old to 18 with every behavior, and I can point you in the right direction on certain free trainings that they have online. Sometimes you can take a course, a test. They have videos and modules that you can see. And then YouTube can be your best friend. There's a lot of things that people put on YouTube that are very helpful. There's a lot of parents that put real life scenarios on YouTube that are very helpful.
Yeah, that's great advice. And a lot of folks too have, and I think this is going to happen even more now with some changes
Mhm.
in the pre-K environment. But a lot of child care centers have school age programs where they're working with
Yeah.
kids who are 5 to 12 years old. Even
Mhm.
youth programs are starting to
Yeah.
expand, and I think as more children funnel into the state-funded pre-Ks, child care
Hmm.
centers are going to get more creative with what they offer, ages that they offer, etc. So I think that this is going to become even more important as we move through
I agree.
the industry, as the changes are happening.
Yeah.
So, what role do families play in supporting children with autism, and how can centers effectively collaborate with the parents?
Reiterate that one more time. Sorry, I'm
Sure,
thinking
sure.
of it,
No,
but
that's okay. That's okay. So, what is the role that families play in supporting children with autism? So, as
okay.
we enroll children and we say, okay, we're an inclusive environment, and yes,
Hmm.
depending on the level that your child's at, we can provide the service. What is the role that parents play in supporting their children, and how can childcare centers effectively collaborate with the parents? Because the parents, even if it's a
So
typically developing child,
yeah,
parents should be, obviously part of the learning
yeah.
process.
I would say just asking questions and be involved, especially when it comes to childcare centers. Schools are a little different, but when it comes to childcare centers, um, don't be afraid to ask questions as parents, but also don't be afraid to take feedback. Because, for instance, you might have a childcare owner or teach staff that doesn't hasn't interacted with that population. And let's say your child has autism, but then they bring someone like me in to train the parents and the teachers. And then if I'm giving you my expertise, I'm not. You have to understand that I'm just giving you my experience, in my opinion. I'm not saying your child has this and this and that, but you
Mhm.
also have to realize a lot of parents are very in denial. Unfortunately,
Yeah.
you have to realize that we can't change and fix your kids. We can only build progress. Whatever God bless your child with is a characteristic and a trait that they have. We cannot remove the autism. We can't move the Down syndrome. We can't remove the ADHD. All that is going to be there. We have to find ways that help them build progress and grow out of it. You can grow out of certain behaviors. You can grow out of certain unhealthy habits or certain tactics and traits. We just have to be patient and understanding that the staff and teachers and educators are doing their best. Sometimes they need a little more training as well. They don't have the answer to everything. Just because they've been working in childcare for 15, 20 years doesn't mean they have the answer to everything. They might have to bring someone in, like me or like Mr. J, just to bring life back into the classroom, or explain in a different scenario to parents, like, hey, this is what's going on, or hey, what is going on, give me what you see on a daily basis at home, and then the teacher explains what they see at in the classroom. If it doesn't align, then that means there's a routine that isn't being followed. That means there isn't a routine that's not being set. All kids need a routine. All kids are
Mhm.
good on routine. If you have something that works great at school, share it with the parents. Parents, vice versa. If it's something that works at home, share that with the teacher, so it's not an uphill battle. Everyone's on the same page, and everyone understands, and it's the best interest for that child. We're creating success for that child. At the end of the day, that's all we want to do is help these babies and help these kids become successful, positive young men and young women in the world.
Yeah.
I hope
I
that
agree
answers.
with
I hope that answered the
Yeah,
question.
no, no, that was you did definitely answer the question. And I agree with you on sometimes the teachers don't have training or so we just had somebody come in, we hired a specialist who had come in and did ABA training with our staff.
Okay. Uh-huh.
And sometimes when you enroll children and they have it could be a variety, it doesn't always have to be autism, but you when you enroll the children and the teacher might say, well, I'm not trained for that. And I'll look at you and be like, well, you've been in the field for 10 years. Maybe it's time you get some training because,
Exactly.
those
Exactly.
numbers don't lie. And
Yeah.
so if that's a skill set we need, because sometimes
Then
I'm going to I tell all the truth on the show. Sometimes when you pick,
where do you work at?
I own a few child care centers in Rhode Island. So I'm from Rhode
Oh, well,
Island.
we're gonna have to talk about me coming down to train in Rhode Island. Oh, all right.
Yeah.
I did not.
Yeah.
I really did not know that. Okay. Oh, wow.
Yeah, so yeah, I'm a childcare owner,
Okay.
and so that's why when I talk about these topics, this is my everyday life. Like I
Yeah.
podcast on the side. This is my therapy. Is the podcasting?
Got you.
Is my
Got
is
you.
my
Makes sense.
therapy?
Okay.
This
Well.
is yeah. I talk about these are
Okay.
real things. These are real things that are
Yeah.
happening. I'm
Okay.
not
I love
making
it.
this up. I didn't read
Yeah.
it in a book. Like this is
No.
my
No. No.
Tuesday morning. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So my point is that even like you had mentioned, I've been in the field 25 years. I do not
Mhm.
know everything.
Right.
Things change, best
Yes.
practice
No.
changes.
Yes, they
But
do.
lots of things change. So I was right in that ABA training with my staff. I was the one who
Hmm.
said, "Hey, we've got some children who have some challenges. Some of them are delays. Some of them are they're pandemic babies, and they're
Yeah.
they're they're
Oh,
struggling with
yeah. Yeah.
socialization. Like let's
Yeah.
talk. Like this is real. Whether a child has a diagnosis or not, like you said, there are strategies that work for all children. All kids need to feel safe. They need to feel
Hmm.
nurtured. They need to
They
feel
need to feel
loved.
love.
They
Exactly.
need, yeah, yeah. I'm Italian. You're gonna tell me about loving babies. That's my thing. That's my
Right.
lane.
Yeah.
But yeah, they need these things, and so I think teachers who don't feel like they have the skill set, then it's your job to get the skill set.
And
Get to those conferences.
if they don't want to get the skill set, then they shouldn't be teaching anymore. That means you're burnt out, and this field is not for you. There's a lot of teachers, a lot of older teachers or there's a lot of teachers that are stuck in their ways, and those are the teachers that I don't like to have a conversation with because whatever I say, it's not going to click because they're stuck in their ways. So therefore, what I'm saying is going in one ear out the others. I'm wasting my breath because you're not going to change, and therefore you're doing this child and the rest of these babies a disservice.
Yeah,
And you should probably go
yeah,
look for something else to do because
yeah,
therefore teaching might not be everyone can't be a teacher, everyone can't be an educator. It's just yeah, you can teach for 15 to 20 years, but if you're not willing to adapt to the environment and adapt to a new learning style and adapt to a new age, we have COVID babies, we have young parents raising children now, we have babies raising babies now, so there's a new wave of learning. We can't teach and we can't parent kids how I know you parent your child. My mom parented me back in the day. Certain things can't be done anymore. Certain
yeah,
ways and tones and how you talk to your children aren't really allowed because not to say, but a lot of kids are very. We grow up in a soft environment, like it's a social media environment with these young parents. So now they're creating more, bringing life into the world, and they're still learning themselves. So therefore, sometimes it's hard for young parents to understand where we're coming from when we've been in the field for so long, or we've seen it, and they're not getting it. So therefore, it's not going to click, and that's unfortunate.
yeah. So what you just said there is really important. So the childcare owners and directors that are out there, I need you to understand that this is where you, as the leader, it's your job to make sure that your team has the supports that they need. So make sure that those trainings are there, and not
Hmm.
only for your teachers, but for your parents, right? Like you said,
Exactly.
we're working with a lot of young parents, and then do it in a way that does so parents don't feel attacked because already they met.
Yeah.
Yeah, like let's again, I
You
talk from
don't.
my heart. Make
Yeah.
them, put it in the newsletter. You don't have to be like, hey, Miss Jones, we think XYZ, but you can put it in your newsletter. Here are some things, that we think you should know as a group so that nobody feels singled out. Put some
Exactly.
strategies
Make
in
it
there,
fun, make it
make it,
creative.
yes, yes,
Bring snacks. I mean, if it's after hours and the kids aren't there, they can have wine. Like, we're adults, so we can make it fun, make it engaging for the parents to come. Can call it a kid free night and have the parents come
yeah,
and just like, yeah. For instance, you like, because I just talked to someone about coming down and I want to train their parents because a lot of their children are on the spectrum, but they're not diagnosed. So no, they want me to come in, and I'm like, yeah, I would love to. I feel like parents are the, yeah, I can train the staff, but they go home to their parents. A lot of parents, why not sit them in the training with the staff? They all can join the same thing because we're all working with that child and with their children. And I'm not gonna give like, for me an example. Last week, Miss J, I spoke at her one of her facilities, Bloom, out here in Atlanta, Georgia, and I had a slideshow, I had everything to go, and I was like, you know what? I'm looking around. There's a lot of parents here, a lot of moms and teachers that work there. I'm like, I don't even want to read nothing of a slide. Help me help you. Y'all ask me
mhm,
questions. Yes, I'm the expert and all, but how can I support you? I'm not here every day. I don't work here. I don't see you all. So how can
mhm.
I help you help your child in your center to help you thrive? Because I can give you all the information, the facts and the stuff data I found. That's cool and all. But if it's not making sense or if it's not helping you, then I'm wasting my time. So I instead, for instance, if I have a conference, with parents, let's have real conversations. Yeah, some people might be in tears, some people might be not understanding or a little in denial, but that's okay. It's gonna happen. Every parent isn't gonna follow on board right then and there. But the best thing is we're making progress and we're having these uncomfortable conversations. We're probably having conversations that you've been thinking about, you just don't want to ask, or some people are afraid to ask, or you don't want people. Oh, my child. We're not singling children out. Every child has something with them, whether they're diagnosed or not. No child is perfect. Like every child learns different. Every child learns at their own pace. That's okay. But I have to get the parents to understand certain small things that they can do, whether it's their tone, whether the food they buy, like that's what all kids. It's not just kids on the spectrum. Like, yeah, there's so much I can talk about when it comes to parents, but I just like to, get parents' opinions. I'm not a parent, but I've been a father figure and a male role model to a lot of kids. A lot of my kids I work with at the hospital, their parents, unfortunately, they call the hospital and they disown them. They give them up to foster care. They give them up to the group homes because a lot of parents can't handle the pressure of, their child being aggressive or their child being suicidal or their child, having tantrum and outburst in public. And a lot of parents have younger toddler like children in the home as well, so they feel it's not safe for that child. And I see that every day. So to have a parent give up the right to their baby is so heart hurting, and it just makes me like want to do more and have these conversations and sit them down, even though I'm on the phone. Like I want to come through the phone and like, hey, your child does this, he does that, she does this. They're great. You just have to say you have to get the proper training, but you don't want to be on the phone for 5 minutes. So how are you going to sit through a 30 hour minute training once a week or once a month? Like it has to be done. If I can go in and rewrite the policies of schooling, all schools and childcares all over the world, that's one thing I would add is parents have to get training mandatory. Teachers have to get training mandatory on how to work with kids on with superpowers and kids that are on the spectrum because those same techniques and strategies that will be given work for everyone. For
Agreed.
instance, overly stimulating noises, colors. I'm a grown adult. I don't like loud noises all the time. We can be overly stimulated with work. I know you as a child care owner, you can be overly stimulated with employees that might bombard you and ask you 1,000 questions. Like everyone has their own thing. Everyone needs space, and I've
Mhm.
learned that. and I've seen that working in childcare centers and working in different schools. A lot of things when it comes to kids' behaviors, even if they're one, even if they're 12, a lot of outbursts happen because the adult doesn't realize that they're the trigger, that they need to give this child some space. Yeah, they're crying, go let them cry. As long as they're not harming themselves, they're not harming anyone else, they can cry. They're not going to cry all day. It's going to stop. But allow them to try to get, as a child, gather their self and gather their thoughts. Because I guarantee if you don't pay them any attention, they're going to stop. A lot of times they just want attention. They want to be picked up, want to be held, but they can't properly ask. Sometimes I get it. You have to pick and coddle them and hold them, but sometimes they're doing that for attention. Kids are very smart and they're very slick, so sometimes they're going to test you. Like sometimes they did that moment they didn't need to be picked up, so they didn't need to go for a walk. They were just testing to see what you were going to do. They didn't verbally
Hmm.
say it because they can't, but sometimes that's what they're going to do.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think too that that's you'll see it's so relationship based because you'll see a
Mhm.
child will act one way with one teacher and
And
a
act a
different
different
way
one
with a
another.
different yes,
Yeah.
and so that happens to me a lot as well as the administrator. I'll go in a room and I'll talk with the student and they'll stop immediately whatever they're doing and they'll comply. They'll do whatever I ask. With I
Mm-hmm.
mean and so the teacher's like, well, that's because you're the principal, whatever. I'm like, that kid's
But
two
it
years
shouldn't
old.
be that way. It shouldn't be
The
that way.
kid's 2 years old. They don't know my title. That has nothing to do
Yeah.
with it. It's the
Right.
relationship. You've got to
Exactly.
build relationships with kids.
Yeah.
They have to know that you're a safe adult. They have to know what to expect. Yeah, I
Yes.
know. I know,
Yes.
Shannon. I
That's
know.
that. That's that relationship is like I said. That's that rapport. Every school I've worked in, I told the principal, the teacher, I'm not teaching any child for 2 weeks straight. I don't know them. They don't know me. I'm a stranger. I'm a man first off, so it's scary to a lot of kids. I have to learn these children. I have to learn what they've gone through. I have to learn their likes or dislikes, their favorite snacks, favorite cartoon. Like I have to learn that because if not, I'm just going to be giving them information that's not for what? It's pointless. I personally don't like teaching kids how to read and write and math all the time. I'm big on life skills. I'm going to teach these young
Mm,
children how to do life skills, how to, clean, bathe, how to wash your clothes, how to take the trash out. Certain things that a lot of young children don't get at a young age. So then when you become, in where I'm at in middle school and high school, you're not self-sufficient because no one has never taught you. Therefore, someone has lost the pieces earlier on, and now you're playing catch up.
yeah, I 100%
And that comes
agree
with
with
that
that.
relationship
Yeah.
building. That comes with that teacher in that childcare center, in the daycare, not building a relationship with that child.
Yeah, I think too when you teach those types of things, children are invested in their community. So
Yeah,
when yeah, right, it gives them an opportunity like, hey, who wants to help me clean tables? Who wants to sweep? Who
that's
wants to
called
give
responsibility.
give it to them. They need it,
You
they
teach
want it.
response.
They
Yes,
crave it. They crave
they
it.
yes they crave, they want to help. Kids love helping. Kids like cleaning. Like you, I know as a kid I hated cleaning because I had to do it all the time. But as an adult, like I'm the cleanest, neatest person you like, and I have my students all the time. All right, who wants to ever take trash out? Who wants to help me wipe this down? You're give like it's almost like they're an extra worker. You're not telling them that, but they're helping you, and they're like, "Oh, I want to help. I mean,
Yeah.
Mr. Shannon, me." Like you're giving them that sense of power that they didn't know
Yes.
they have. That even if they're picking pieces of paper up and throwing them in the trash, like they're gonna do that, and that'll
Yeah.
probably decrease a lot of behaviors that happen.
Yeah. Can you share a success story or an example of a child with autism that's thriving in one of your programs?
Yes. Ooh. Because what I do is not for everybody, and I work in a facility that um.
So maybe
Okay.
talk about your
No, no, I
experience
can
when you worked
share.
with younger children
Yeah.
or yeah.
Yeah, so I worked with a young man back home in California, and I worked with him. He was 8 years old. He's 15 now, and he has autism. He was nonverbal. Took a lot of speech therapy, and he talks. When I got with him, nonverbal, highly aggressive. When I say aggressive, his mom has been kicked out of 2 apartments because he's punched holes in the wall. And mind you, he's 7, 8 years old. He's a young kid. 15 now. He's a senior in high school now. and he's doing amazing. He's taking speech therapy. He's using his words. He's, being safe in the community. He's thriving, and to hear and see stuff like that just from working with him, and he was aggressive, and he would, do all these things, play with his bodily fluids, and just for attention. And with the right people and the right team, he's able to thrive and, you know, become a positive young man in the world. Um, I see it every day. I see a lot of young kids, like 5, 6 years old, that are small as can be, but have unhealthy habits that were taught from wherever they came from. And I'm like, you're 5 and 6 years old. How do you know these words? Why are you like, I have to tell myself, like, yo, they're learning this unhealthy behavior. It's up to you and up to the people around you to give them the proper tools to become great citizens in the world. Yeah. I'm trying to think of what else I can
Yeah,
share.
yeah.
Because,
No,
yeah.
that's a great example. So, before we wrap up, I have a few other questions.
Mhm.
Um, how can childcare directors create a culture of empathy and understanding towards children with special needs within their staff?
Have these conversations. If you don't know how to have these conversations, you can ask someone like me. I'm like a lot. If there's childcare owners that want to have me up, for instance, if you want me to come in and speak with your staff, I'm more than welcome to do that. But have you want to have the drive and the will to want to have the conversation with your staff. You might have staff that have kids on the spectrum. They just aren't they might not want to share it with you because you might not be friendly, or certain you might like certain people might be scared because they don't know that you're the boss and they don't want to bring their personal problems. But for instance, like you, Miss Erica, you seem very warm, welcoming, and opening, so I'm sure you have an open door policy at times to where you might allow you have your staff come in and vent to you, and like, hey, I'm dealing with this at home, and I've learned that this doesn't work. That routine might help with them there, and you might be able to take some of those strategies and techniques and use them at work. Um, but I would say invest in your staff, invest in your childcare center. Um, don't be afraid to have individuals like myself and other individuals to come in and train your staff. A lot of times we're not doing it for the money. We're doing it to build relationships. I tell people all the time, the money will come when you're genuine and you move with genuine positivity and good love and energy. I want to give the free game and the free things that I have out to the world. I have a story to tell. I have a life to live, but I have a story to inspire people with. I'm not worried about the money. Money's going to come. I want to share my story with the world. I want to get my coloring book into every child and parent's hands across the globe. If I
Yeah,
can give them to you for free, I would. But
you
I
got to pay
mean,
for the printing.
we live in a world, so we got to, you got to pay for stuff. But yeah, like,
Yeah,
yeah, and don't be afraid to have that professional development staff training, have that parent workshop training. Don't be afraid to bring experts in. You're making investment in yourself. You're making investment in your future. You're making investment in your community because if you come have me to come in and train, fifth year staff, I let someone else, hey, no, they're doing this. They might, no, I'm not an expert in this, but I know someone that will, that'll bring more community, more people, more traffic, more parents, more kids, more money, essentially, more resources. Like, you don't know what someone else has to offer to you until you know, or until you're not afraid to ask, like, hey, I'll be willing to, have you bring you down and pay you this and that. That's cool. But also, when you do that, can I donate these books? Can I provide these? Can I create these strategies and techniques on a chart and give them to you? Huh? No. It's like every time I go to someone's chakra center, I bring stuff just to give away. Like I create a behavior tracking data chart, and let's say you have little Johnny. He gets up from nap time at 10 a.m. and he cries or he grabs a toy and throws it every day. Then track that data. Taking data is big because you'll see the
mm,
elevation, you'll see if that child is able to change. And if it happens at 10 a.m. every day, you'll have to know you have to implement something. So therefore, he
hmm,
can't take a nap at 10 a.m. He might need to help you around the classroom and clean and sweep and stuff like that. Like being able to create different charts. Like I created a behavior chart. I created a functional strategy and technique chart that I've given to different childcare owners and childcare workers. Like no, just don't be afraid to ask the questions. Don't be afraid to ask for help. If you're a worker in these childcare centers and you don't know what to do, ask. And if your child owner doesn't know, they'll come call me. They'll ask. I'll be here to help them.
That's a good segue. So tell folks how they can reach you, all of your socials, all that
So
contact
I
info.
have a personal website. My website is inclusivevision42.org. It's spelled how it sounds, inclusivevision42.org. And yes, I sell my coloring book there, but I also have a services page. And on my services page, I have parent workshops. I come into schools and trainings and do trainings with staff. You can follow me on Instagram at inclusive_vision.42. My email is inclusive.vision.42@gmail.com. You can give me a phone call at 760-905-2291. I'm big on building relationships. Like I said, I just want to be able to share my gift and share my expertise with others. I come in and, if I come into a childcare center, I would like to come in. For instance, you said you have a couple. I would love to come down yours. I would, love to come down and observe for a day, for the day, and then once I observe the staff and observe how they interact with the kids, then I can teach my workshop the next day. Yeah, my goal, I don't want to be in a classroom for long. My goal and my dream is to travel and train other educators, childcare owners, parents on how to work with kids, on behavior management, inclusion, SEL, which is social emotional learning, kids with autism, and how to create life skills for kids. And life skills, can be anything from taking a bath, changing a diaper, tying a shoe, brushing your teeth, certain stuff like that that I feel like, all kids need.
Yeah, I love it. How much are your coloring books available online?
Yes, ma'am. So I created my own website. One book is $15. It comes autographed. I personally have my copies and autograph them. I have stickers. And then I'm sorry, correction, $19 for a wholesale. If you buy 25 or more, it ranges from 13 to 15, depending on, and then the shipping is free. And a lot of times, like I had a facility buy them in Detroit. And instead of me shipping the books, they brought me out to come speak. So I just brought the books with me and gave them the books. So they paid for me to come speak instead of purchasing the books. But you can purchase the books as well. I have the, mail them out within the next two to 3 days. If I have to, order more copies from my manufacturer, then I would definitely communicate that. I'm big on communication. I know life happens and I communicate, but I'm big on, getting the product out to the individual quickly.
So I'm just gonna I'm very motherly, if you haven't already
Yes, ma'am.
figured out. Have you talked to sorry guys, you gotta be part of our conversation for a minute. Have you talked to any companies that work in the education space that might be a good sponsor to help you get those books out to as many people as possible?
No, if you have any resources, I would love to. I've tried to call different school districts. I've tried reaching out. Certain people haven't responded. I've talked to local bookstores. A lot of them want me to be, I self-publish it, and I went through the process of publishing
Okay.
myself. So if you have any resources, I'm open and available for anything.
I
That's
think I'll send you some. I'll send you
okay.
some
Yes, ma'am.
some ideas. I got some ideas for you because
Okay.
I want to help you spread
Thank
your
you.
message.
Yes,
You
ma'am.
are you're amazing. You're
Thank
you're
you.
amazing. I hope I see you at all the conferences.
If I can hug you through the screen, I would right now. Like that just made my day. Thank you.
No, good. I'm good. I want you to know. I want you to know that it's amazing people like you
Yes, ma'am.
that make what I do as a teacher and
Hmm.
as an educator just it's the reason we're here. It's the reason we're
Yes,
here.
ma'am.
So
Well,
I
we're gonna
thank
have to
you.
get me down to Rhode Island soon.
We're gonna figure it out. We're gonna
Let's
figure it
make
out.
it happen.
I like you. I'm be out on the road a lot. I guarantee you we're gonna bump into each other a whole heck of a lot this year because
Let's
I
do
am
it.
like you. I'm gonna be on them stages too. I
Yes,
promise you
ma'am.
that. So,
Yeah, come on
but
down.
yes, I'll hook up with you
You
offline.
know what would
Um,
be amazing? Would be amazing if you do a live. We have like an event. You do a live podcast. That would be dope, and have an audience and take questions from the audience. Like
yes,
that would be
yes,
something. Like let's say even if you partner with Born to Teach, and we have a larger
yeah,
conference,
yeah. I
and
love it.
we have a day or a segue instead of having sessions, we
Yep.
have a whole conversation with your podcast, and we have
Latrice, you
every
listening?
yeah, Latrice,
Let's
come
do
on,
it,
Tree.
Latrice.
We'll make it happen. We're gonna have a whole session. Every educator, every childcare owner in their room, and we're
Let's
taking
do it.
questions, or you break them into groups and they create questions, and we have conversation. Like
I
that'll be
love it.
dope.
I love it. I am all about collaboration. So,
Me too.
yeah, let's do all the things. So, for those of you who are listening, you are tuned in to the Childcare Directors Chair podcast. Remember, it's the little things that make a big impact in the success of your childcare business. Thank you, as always, for tuning in. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button. We really appreciate your support. Have a great day.